Hi guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we are talking about a phone which a lot of people are referring to as the perfect budget phone to use right now and going into the year of 2018. If you are in the market for a new phone, then you might want to check this out. So we're going to look at all the good things about it, all the bad things about it, and all the information will be left in the video description below as well if you are interested after this review. So let's get straight to it right now. Let's go. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell if you're new and want to be notified every time I post a new video. Also, if you are interested in any of the best and latest deals on devices, whether that be smartphones, Android boxes, tablets, laptops and PCs, etc., and also some great deals on some of the best VPNs, please check out the video description below. All the information will be left there. Right, so of course we are talking about the Xiaomi Mi A1. This is the box. We're going to be doing an unboxing and then I'm going to obviously go through the actual review. Now, first thing to know, as you can see here, it says Mi A1 and it says Android One. Just to give you a bit of information on Android One. Android One is a low-cost line of consumer electronic devices that run the Android operating system. It is a hardware and software standard created by Google for Android systems and customers in the developing world, although later it was made available in limited form in some developed nations as well. Basically, in simplified terms, it was a low-budget system for Android lovers. So straight away, we have a phone which is created by Xiaomi, but it is also in conjunction with Google. Xiaomi have created the hardware and Google have created the software, the operating system behind it. So one good thing, you're going to see updates quite regularly with this phone. I've actually received two and I've only had it on for a matter of a couple of weeks. So we've got the box here, which we'll just slide the top off. We'll have a look at the information on the back. So as you can see here, we've got the dual camera. We've got pure Android, so fresh OS upgrades. We've got a Snapdragon 625. Now, the Snapdragon 625 is a pretty powerful bit of kit. Obviously, the 835 at the moment is the one used in the high-end flagship phones, but the Snapdragon 600 line is really closing that gap with the 800 line. There isn't too much difference, and in raw, normal, everyday use, you will probably not see that much of a difference. There'll be occasional lags, like very minuscule, but again, when we're looking at the market and the budget, this phone, for example, is only going to be setting you back around £200 compared to £700-800 on some of the real big flagship phones that use that 800 line Snapdragon. Right, so we've also on here, as you can see, we have 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. You can expand the storage with a micro SD card if you so wish, up to 128GB as well, so another really positive thing. Right, so we'll get rid of that and we'll move on to the actual box. So it looks very similar to like an Apple product. It's very premium, the actual box looking, but we don't care about boxes, do we? Let's be honest. So we'll move that over there, and in here, again, very similar to something you might see on an Apple product. So as you can see, you've got the slightly dated bezels on the top and bottom, but the build quality, it feels very premium in the hand. It's made of metal and glass on the front. So we have an IR blaster on the top for controlling of TVs, which is a thing that used to be around in a couple of years ago on a lot of flagship phones. They kind of gone by the wayside, but a lot of people like that function, so it is there. As you can see at the bottom as well, we have a headphone jack right there, another positive for a lot of people. Type-C, like we've mentioned, charge. We have one speaker here at the bottom. You've got your volume rockers on the side there, as well as your power button. And you've got your SIM card slot there as well. As you can see, they're mentioning about the upgrades. We have one again there, available Android system update. So we'll just put this to one side and we'll just see what else is in the box. So we'll just take that off. There's nothing in that bit. But in here we have, so you have your charging cable, which is Type-C, and we have the charging brick there as well. You may need an adapter, obviously, for certain regions. That is pretty much it. So there's no case. There's no screen protectors, just a little manual. Unfortunately, I am liking the fact that a lot of companies now are shipping with cases, for example, so you don't have to wait until you get your case. Okay, so obviously this one comes in white and gold. It's also available in black and rose gold as well. And as you can see, you've got your fingerprint sensor on the back. Is pretty reliable. I'm not going to lie, Xiaomi tend to make very, very good fingerprint sensors. They work almost 99% of the time. You don't really have any problems. There is a slight lag compared to some of the, again, the top flagship phones. It's a second, so if that's important to you, then you don't want to get this phone. If it's not, then fingerprint away. Fingerprint away. Stop. Now, of course, this is a 5.5-inch display. The phone form feels much bigger because of those bezels. It is fairly comfortable in the hand though. If you are used to the iPhone Pluses, for example, then you're going to have no problems with this. And the display is 1080p as well, so it is a full HD display. Some of the budget phones at this moment in time are still providing 720p screens. This is 1080, so nice to see. Not 4K, but still nevertheless, with this size screen, 1080p in my opinion is more than acceptable. So we've got 4GB of RAM, which means multitasking is, you know, it is really pretty good, to be honest. I'm not having too many problems using that Snapdragon, obviously, and the 4GB of RAM. It tends to work pretty nicely indeed. And on this actual device, we have 64GB of storage. Again, a lot of you guys won't have too many problems with that storage. That's quite a lot for a lot of people. You can add extra with that micro SD card in the SIM card tray. So obviously, the best thing about having this as Android One, or you know, the software created by Google, is of course, we've mentioned the updates that are very, very quick, but also you get a very fluid setup. So you know, you're jumping in and out of apps. You don't have really any bloatware at all, which you would get with the Mi UI, which of course most Xiaomi products ship with. So for me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. From doing a lot of reviews, I know that Xiaomi generally create products hardware-wise that are pretty decent in the market, but sometimes a lot of people are questioning the software. Well, this, you don't have that problem. It is designed and created by Google. It makes the user experience, in my opinion, much better than the Mi UI. I'll just play you some sound so you can get an idea of what you're working with. So we'll turn it up to top volume as well. So I'll just hold it up to the actual mic. I post a new video. Also, if you are interested in any of the best and latest deals on cheap devices and have this sort of bezel-less display. Again, for this price, it's a pretty decent speaker. It's not the loudest by any stretch of the imagination, but the clarity is pretty good. You're not going to get too much sort of distortion at the top end like you would get with a lot of cheap budget phones. Battery capacity. This is personally a bit of a negative. It's not a bad battery life by any means. It's 3080 milliamps, which is okay. It's not great, and again, with the form factor, the size of this phone, I would generally hope for and expect a little bit more. If you saw my review of the Xiaomi Mix 2, which I did a couple of days ago, you will see that that had a battery of over 4,000, I think, so, and it's a similar size phone. So again, it's one of those things, if that's important to you, then this might not be the phone for you. Where this does perform better than the Xiaomi Mix 2, for example, or a lot of other budget phones, is the camera. The camera is a dual camera, 12 megapixel normal and 12 megapixel telephoto, which of course means you can get up to 2 times optical zoom with the same clarity. So we are just going to take a couple of photos, and as you can see, using that telephoto lens, we are still getting pretty decent clarity. So the actual pictures are coming out pretty clear, if a little bit overexposed in my opinion. Some of the bright spots on the picture are really being picked up, and it's a little bit garish for me, but that might just be my personal opinion. In terms of daylight situations, you're going to get very nice photos. In terms of low light situations, this is where the camera lets itself down, in my opinion. You lose a lot of detail in those pictures, and it can get quite grainy. I've also noticed as well, when I've been taking photos with this, I am noticing there is a lag there when you're trying to take lots of quick photos in quick succession. If you're just trying to take one and you've got a bit of time, it takes really good photos. If you want them really quick and lots of them, it might not be the one for you. In terms of the selfie camera, we are looking at a 5 megapixel camera. It is on the top because you have that bezel. Some of the Xiaomi phones, like the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2, have them on the bottom due to that no bezel at the top, but this one we have it here. So that is a bonus of that top bezel, but it's not great. It's not a horrendous selfie front-facing shooter, but it isn't going to be top on my Christmas list for selfie cameras. It sort of reminds me of a selfie camera from one of the flagships a couple of years ago. There is also 4K video recording on this phone, which I've actually used on a couple of my videos. Fairly good standard 4K recording, but the autofocus isn't the best. Now, in terms of the brightness of the phone, it goes up to 450 nit, which isn't the highest. What I am impressed with is actually how low it gets for low light situations when you're sort of reading in bed, something like that. You can actually scroll, and look, it goes all the way through to black. So a lot of times you will have to use like a dimmer, for example, but on this you don't have to do that. One also negative about that, we're talking about low light situations and reading, for example, there doesn't seem to be on this a way of having a read mode, you know, where obviously the light filters are changed so that it's much better on the eyes for sleep. Obviously there may be something they can tweak with the software, or there may be a way of doing it that I just haven't clocked yet. And of course you can download apps that do that for you, but ideally I would like it to be as part of this setup here. On your screen now, there is a list of bands available for this smartphone in terms of compatibility. So if you are interested in this product, make sure you check with your provider that they actually use that specific band for 4G, etc. Otherwise, you may only be able to use 3G. So that's pretty much it, guys. I've got through quite a lot today in this short amount of time. If you have got any more questions, let me know in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer them. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this Xiaomi Mi A1. Do you think it is up there with one of the best budget phones to use going into next year? Again, as always, we are a community. I'd love to hear your thoughts and let me know in the comment section below if there are other products you would like to see reviewed. If you want a cheap alternative to the Samsung Note 8, I will leave that linked here. It was the review I did a couple of days ago in case you missed it. It's a very, very good phone for battery life, also has a 1080p screen and is even cheaper than this as well. So again, something you might want to consider. Remember to like and share if you did enjoy this video and find it helpful. Subscribe and hit that little notification bell next to it if you want to be notified every time I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one. ASBYT, peace out.